Hi there. Do you find spelling in your homeschool to be a challenge? I know I did, and I wasn't sure where to start. Today I'll share with you the resources and simple targeted activities that I implement with my kids to improve their spelling. Okay, the first place, honestly, that I would say to start is with yourself. And I can't recommend this book enough, Uncovering the Logic of English. It's a short read, it's very simple, and just give it a read. You can buy this on Amazon, it's pretty cheap, and it is worth the money, it is worth the time. You can read it in a weekend, and it'll give you so much more confidence to talk to your kids about spelling and about the English language in general. So I highly recommend it. The other thing I would keep on hand is a dictionary, which most homeschoolers probably already have. And now to the meat of today's video. What do I use specifically to teach my kids to improve their spelling? So, as a Robinson curriculum-based family, I had access to the McGuffey Eclectic Spelling Book in their printable form. So you can find this if you're not an RC family. You can find this in the public domain to print. I got this one on Amazon. It was pretty cheap. I'll leave a link down below to as much stuff as I can think of that I talk about today in case you want to take a look at it. But so this is actually where I decided to pull my spelling list from. So I like the lists in here because I did find that my children can read at a higher level than they can spell naturally. Reading just seems to outpace the spelling. The spelling lags. So though they may be reading at a higher level than the words that are in here, this really is, I think, the proper spelling level for them to work on. So I like that. Anyway, so these words are grouped together. They have common, vowel sounds or spelling patterns, and so that made more sense to me than, say, just using the words out of the McGuffey reader for each lesson, because those weren't quite as related to one another, and I wanted to have a little more continuity between the words and the spelling list. So that's why I went ahead and went with this list here. And with this base knowledge, this has been extremely helpful in my ability to be able to answer questions that come up naturally during spelling and even reading as well. Okay, so that's where I get my list. That's where I get my background knowledge personally from, so I can teach to them. And then, so what do we actually do? So I love a weekly rhythm in my homeschool for pretty much all of our subjects, and spelling's no different. So I have spelling packets, and I print them out in bulk. I created them for grades, grades, whatever your child's ability is, 1 through 6. And I just print out like 20 or 30 of them. This is for my 2nd grader, here's for my 5th grader. And then we just grab these out at the beginning every Monday of every week to get to work. So I have the kids keep all their spelling supplies, each in their own spelling folder. And then they also each have their own spelling flashcards for each grade that they're in. So I have a 2nd grader. And technically, he's kind of 6th grader, but he didn't finish his 5th grade list last year, so we're still going through the 5th grade list. And I just organize them out for them because I actually like doing stuff like that. So I think these are all in my TPT store, my packets. But I think the first 2 grades, grades 1 and 2, I have cards that you can print out, and they're already written on there. And I think the other ones I haven't. I just have blank flashcards that you just fill in. So, oh yeah, so you can see my 5th grader, I just wrote it in. And if you are doing flashcards like this, I would recommend maybe writing in highlighter because it doesn't show through on the back so easily as if you use a marker or a pen or something darker. Anyway, so what we have is progressively more difficult activities, from grade to grade. And they start out, the first day of the week, they open it up, they have their new packet, and they go to whatever lesson they're on. And I use some spelling patterns that come with the packets, and we look through the spelling list together, and we make a note of what spelling patterns are present in this week's list. So we can talk about that stuff. And then usually once that's all talked through, which doesn't take too long, I just have them then go back and write each word 3 times. Right, so I have a sheet for that. So they just do some different things during the week. We learn how to alphabetize. I think this is a good, I personally, and I'll do another video on vocabulary, I personally start them out just with spelling, and that kind of acts as their vocabulary, because one of the assignments is to alphabetize and to look up, they can look up definitions or write word sentences. And so if there's a word in there that they don't know, most of them they will know, but some of them they won't. We'll look that word up. We'll take the opportunity. They learn how to do some research, right? How to look things up. And they'll need that in life for indexes, glossaries, dictionaries, encyclopedias. There's all types of things that they will need that research skill for. And spelling can be a place for them to learn that first. What's your next word?
Save.
Save. Good. Where would it go in alphabetical order? Good. Why does it go there?
Because after R.
What comes after R?
S.
S. Good. Okay, what's your next word? Now you've written it in alphabetical order. Beautiful. Okay.
It shows us that this is the first.
Yes, L comes before N, and if the first one is R-I-N, we have to go back a page to find the R-I-L words, right? And go back a page. We have R-I-N words. We're working our way backwards. R-I-G. Which one comes first, G or L? A-C-D-E-F-G. Right? So we know there's an R-I-L word. R-I-L-E. What's that word? L. What does it say? It's a noun, which is a person, place, thing, or idea. And it's a
very small stream.
A rill is a very small stream. So they're getting some vocabulary, they're getting some research skills going, they're talking to mom about rules and stuff. So they may write some word sentences, and then they are going to look up the rule or pattern and write. So they can either look up the rule or pattern and kind of sort through. I like to make categories of what the rules that we saw were and then sort them through into those different categories. Well, are you ready to sort your review list into the patterns that we saw? Let's do a review of what we have, okay? What we're looking for in our words. We're looking for the A, which is a short or long A? Short. This one. Is it a long or short E?
Short.
Good. Is this a long or short I?
Short.
Good. What's this sound?
Ah.
Oh. Is it a long or short O?
Short.
Good. And do you remember the floss rule, or do you want me to review it?
Review it.
Review it? Okay, we'll take a look over here. Spelling patterns. Floss rule. Does the word have one syllable and one vowel? If the answer is yes, then you ask, does it end in F, L, S, or Z? If the answer is yes, then you would double that letter. Double Fs, that's why we see them in off, puff, cliff, stuff, and staff. How many syllables is off? How many syllables is off? Show me. Do you know?
Oh.
One. Good. How many vowels does it have? One. What's the vowel in off?
Oh.
Good. And does it end in F, L, S, or Z?
It ends with F.
So yes. And so what does it say to do to the F?
Double.
Double it! Okay. Alright, let's go ahead and sort through our words. Okay, start with, what's this word?
Tip.
Tip. Okay, which pattern does it fit into?
This one. Short I.
Short I, good. Go ahead and write it down. Good job. They can try to think of other words that also fit that rule if they want. I mean, you can be flexible with like try to meet your child where they are and how much you want to encourage them. Those younger years, like first, second, third grade, you're probably going to be more hands-on with the spelling. But you're training them up to know how to solve these problems on their own, giving them a base of knowledge that you're pulling from your own life experience and from your own education, which is continuing on. I think we all know we get a second education when we become homeschool parents. So that's just the bare basics. That's why I started with my kids, and that was actually going really well. Wanted to add a little bit more. I heard about, spelling division rule or syllable division rules and things, and that was something that I hadn't built in to the earlier years. So I wanted to go ahead and make a game that could kind of address that. So I came up with spelling word hangman. So for the younger kids, you could just play spelling word hangman. You could just have them write their spelling list here, and then you guys pull cards and you guess the letters and stuff like that on here. But with your dry erase pens, which I don't know, do your kids love dry erase pens? Because my kids do. They'll drop everything to get a dry erase pen and do something. It's so funny. Anyway, so if you want to take it a little bit further, you can do a little mini word study on that word, right? Adorable, right? It's like 4 syllables. So this one might be 1 syllable short, but you write 4, write the vowel type in syllable 1 and the syllable type, and then any other spelling patterns. I like to have them write the word out that we're studying here, divide it up into syllables. I like them to put the diacritic symbols over the vowels. We can talk about if it's a schwa, if it's long, if it's short, if there's a soft C or a soft G, things like that. We can mark those here. And it's just a good discussion point. And you're probably not going to get through your whole list because that can be pretty time consuming. But, if you got through like 3 words, especially if they each, had a slightly different spelling pattern to them, then you're really getting a lot of practice and learning time in. So then when they're all done with all that stuff, they have a spelling test last day of the week. They pack it all in. They give me the spelling test. I grade it. I record it. And then I give them they get a new packet for the next week, and it starts all over. And they have been really happy with this, and I've seen their spelling improve. And also all this talking about spelling rules and patterns, it applies, to their reading as well. So it's reinforcing other literacy skills. So it gives you this base knowledge, and then you can point it out when you see it in real life too.